Anger is not strength. Anger is not honesty. Anger is a loss of control, and every time you lose control, you lose respect, clarity, and power. This audiobook is not about managing anger. It is about ending it permanently. You will learn how to train your mind to remain calm under pressure, clear under insult, and emotionally untouchable in chaos. Peace is not passive. Peace is dominance without noise. By the end of this audiobook, anger will no longer run your life, you will. Chapter 1. Admit the truth. Anger is weakness, not power. Anger feels powerful. That's why people defend it. That's why they cling to it. In the moment, anger creates heat. It creates adrenaline. It creates the illusion of strength. Your voice gets louder. Your posture stiffens. Your mind narrows. And for a few seconds, you feel big. You feel dominant. You feel in control. But that feeling is a lie. Anger is not power. Anger is a loss of power. If anger were strength, angry people would be winning. Repeat that. If anger solved problems, angry people would be winning. Look around. Are they? Angry people are not leading peaceful lives. They are not trusted. They are not admired. They are tolerated at best and avoided at worst. Anger does not elevate you. It exposes you. It tells everyone around you that your emotions run you, not the other way around. You must admit this truth before anything else can change. Anger always leaves a receipt. It leaves regret. It leaves damaged relationships. It leaves a reputation you don't get to rewrite. Think back to the last time you got angry, not justified, not understandable, just angry. What happened after? Did the situation improve, or did it get messier? Did you feel proud an hour later? Or did you replay the moment in your head, wishing you had said less, not more? Anger is loud in the moment and expensive afterward. Here is the hard truth most people avoid. Every time you lose your temper, you lose leverage. In conversations, in arguments, in leadership, in life. The moment you raise your voice, speed up your speech, or let emotion leak into your words, you signal weakness. You signal that something touched you, that something got under your skin, that you can be moved. And once people know you can be moved, they know you can be controlled. If anger solved problems, angry people would be winning. Look at the workplace. The person who explodes in meetings is not respected. They are managed around. People walk on eggshells. Ideas stop flowing. Trust dies quietly. Look at relationships. The angry partner doesn't create safety. They create tension. The other person shuts down not because they agree, but because they want the storm to pass. Look at leadership. The leader who relies on anger creates compliance, not loyalty, fear, not respect. And the moment their authority weakens, everything collapses. Anger forces short-term obedience and guarantees long-term loss, yet people still defend it. They say, but anger shows I care. No, it shows you lack control. They say, it's just how I express myself. No. It's how you avoid responsibility for your behavior. They say, if I don't get angry, people won't listen. That's a confession, not a strategy. If the only way people listen to you is when you're angry, you have no real influence. Calm people don't need to announce themselves. Their presence does the talking. Now listen carefully. This matters. Anger is not the same as strength. Anger is not the same as conviction. Anger is not the same as boundaries. Strong people can say no without emotion. Strong people can disagree without heat. Strong people can walk away without needing the last word. Weak people explode because they feel threatened. Anger is the nervous system in panic mode. It is your body saying, I don't feel safe. That's not power. That's insecurity dressed up as confidence. And the world can tell the difference even if you can't. If anger solved problems, angry people would be winning. Notice how people respond to calm authority. Slow speech, minimal words, relaxed posture. That energy says, I'm not threatened, I'm not rushed, I'm not reactive. People lean in. They listen, they adjust. Calm controls the room. Anger burns it down. This chapter is about one thing: honesty. You cannot eliminate anger until you stop romanticizing it. As long as you believe anger helps you, you will keep using it. As long as you believe anger protects you, you will keep defending it. As long as you believe anger is strength, you will stay weak. Here is your first behavioral instruction. When anger rises, do not act, do not speak, do not explain, label it. Say internally, this is weakness trying to feel powerful. That pause alone breaks the spell. Anger survives on momentum. Interrupt it and it collapses. You don't need to suppress anger. You need to see it clearly. Anger is not evidence that you are right. It is evidence that you are triggered, and triggers point to untrained areas of the mind. This is not an insult. It's an opportunity. Every time anger appears, it highlights exactly where your work is. The goal of this audiobook is not to make you passive. It is to make you unshakable. Unshakable people are not emotionless. They are disciplined. They feel the surge and they don't obey it. They understand a simple truth. The calmer you are, the more dangerous you become, not to others, but to chaos. Before we move forward, anchor this sentence into your mind. If anger solved problems, angry people would be winning. Say it again. If anger solved problems, angry people would be winning. They aren't, which means it's time to stop copying a broken strategy. In the next chapter, we will dismantle another illusion, the belief that anger earns you respect. It doesn't. It costs you connection, trust, and influence. You've admitted the truth about anger itself. Now, let's confront the social reality. Chapter 2, understand this law: no one likes angry people. This chapter may bruise your ego. That's good. Ego bruises heal. Blindness doesn't. Here is the law stated plainly. No one likes angry people, not secretly, not deep down. Not once they get to know you. No one. This is not a moral judgment. This is not an insult. This is biology, psychology, social reality. Human beings are wired to avoid danger. Anger signals danger. The raised voice, the sharp tone, the rigid body, the narrowed eyes. All of it tells the nervous system one thing: this person is unpredictable, and unpredictability triggers distance. People may tolerate angry individuals. They may comply with them. They may even fear them, but they do not like them. They do not trust them. And they do not feel safe around them. Calm attracts, anger repels. Say it again. Calm attracts, anger repels. You need to stop confusing attention with respect. Angry people get attention, but it's the wrong kind. It's cautious attention, defensive attention. How do I avoid setting them off? Attention. That is not influence. That is not leadership. That is social debt. Let's talk about work. The angry coworker is not the most respected person in the room. They are the most managed. People keep conversations short. They filter information. They stop offering ideas, not because they agree, because they want peace. Meanwhile, the calm individual, the one who speaks slowly, listens fully, and responds without heat, becomes the quiet center of gravity. People bring them problems. People ask for input. People trust their judgment, not because they are louder, because they are safer. Calm attracts, anger repels. Now relationships. Anger does not create intimacy. It destroys it. When you get angry, the other person stops hearing your words and starts monitoring your mood. They shift from connection to protection. They may nod. They may go silent. They may comply in the moment, but internally they withdraw. Every angry outburst trains people to hide their truth from you. Over time, they stop sharing. They stop opening up. They stop feeling close. And then one day, you're confused why the relationship feels empty. Anger didn't express your feelings. It trained others to avoid them. Calm attracts. Anger repels. Now leadership. This is where the illusion of anger is strongest. Some people believe anger equals authority. It doesn't. It equals fear. Fear produces short-term obedience and long-term resentment. A calm leader creates stability. An angry leader creates anxiety. Teams under angry leaders don't innovate. They don't take risks. They don't tell the truth, they protect themselves. Calm leaders hear the truth early. Angry leaders hear it too late, because no one wants to be the messenger around someone who explodes. Understand this clearly. People do not reward emotional volatility, they work around it. And working around you means you are no longer central, you are no longer trusted, you are no longer influential, you are tolerated. That is the social cost of anger, and here's the hardest part to accept. You may be right, your logic may be solid. Your point may be valid, your position may be justified. Anger still makes you lose, because humans don't evaluate correctness first. They evaluate safety first. If you feel unsafe, they stop listening. Calm attracts, anger repels. This is why calm people often win arguments without arguing. They don't trigger defense. They don't provoke ego. They don't escalate emotion. They let others exhaust themselves. And then when the emotional dust settles, their words land. Here is your behavioral instruction for this chapter. Stop trying to be intense. Start trying to be stable. Intensity is mistaken for passion. Stability is mistaken for confidence. Confidence wins. The next time you feel anger rising in a social situation, do this instead. Slow your body first. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Lower your voice. Your body leads your mind. When your body softens, your words gain weight. Then speak less than you want to. Anger pushes you to say everything. Calm chooses only what matters. Say fewer words. Say them slower. End sooner than expected. People remember restraint. They forget rants. This is how calm gains authority, not by force, by contrast. In a world of emotional noise, stillness stands out. Calm attracts. Anger repels. Another instruction. Watch how people react after your anger, not during it. During anger, people comply. After anger, people adjust their behavior around you. They avoid. They delay. They disengage. That is the real feedback. If people were drawn to anger, angry people would be surrounded by honesty, loyalty, and openness. They aren't. They are surrounded by silence and distance. You must decide what you want: to be feared for moments, or trusted for years, to feel powerful briefly, or to actually be powerful consistently. Peace is not weakness. Peace is social intelligence. It understands how humans work, and humans are drawn to emotional safety. This chapter is not asking you to be agreeable. It is asking you to be effective. You can be firm without being hostile, direct without being volatile, clear without being cruel. Those are skills, and skills can be trained. The people who master calm don't just feel better internally. They move differently in the world. Doors open, conversations deepen, resistance drops, not because they demand it, because people choose it. Calm attracts, anger repels. Let that sentence replace every old belief you have about anger earning respect. It doesn't, it costs it. You've now seen the social law clearly. Anger pushes people away. Calm pulls them in. But knowing this law is not enough. You must learn how to interrupt anger in real time before it hijacks your behavior. You understand the cost. Now you need the mechanism. Chapter 3: Stop reacting. Reactions are the enemy of peace. Anger is not a decision. Anger is a reaction. That distinction matters more than you think. You decide what to eat. You decide where to go. You decide what you build with your life. But anger happens before you decide anything, unless you interrupt it. And here is the rule you must understand. Anything that controls your reactions controls you. If a comment can hijack your mood, someone else has the steering wheel. If a delay can ruin your day, your peace is fragile. If a look, tone, or inconvenience can trigger anger, you are not free. Freedom begins where reactions end. Most people believe anger is caused by events. It is. Events are neutral. Your reaction is not. Two people experience the same situation. One stays calm, one explodes, same trigger, different outcome. That means anger is not inevitable, it is conditioned, and anything conditioned can be retrained. Here is the uncomfortable truth: anger thrives in speed, fast thoughts, fast words, fast movements. The nervous system fires, the mind races, the mouth opens, and suddenly you are no longer in control. This is why reactions are the enemy of peace. Reactions skip judgment, they bypass wisdom, they ignore consequences. Reactions feel honest, but they are impulsive honesty without intelligence. Peace requires space, not hours, not minutes, seconds, sometimes just one breath. Pause first. Power follows. Say it again. Pause first. Power follows. That pause is the line between weakness and strength. When you pause, you reclaim choice. When you pause, you slow the body. When you pause, the mind catches up. Without the pause, you are running a script you didn't write. Let's break this down practically. Anger starts in the body before it starts in the mind. Tight chest, clenched jaw, shallow breath, heat in the face. Those are signals. Most people ignore them. They go straight to expression. Strong people notice them and stop. Your job is not to eliminate anger instantly. Your job is to interrupt the chain reaction. Trigger, pause, choice, that's it. You don't need to be calm instantly. You need to delay action, because delay restores authority. Pause first. Power follows. Here is a concrete instruction. The moment you feel irritation rise, do not speak for 3 seconds. Not 1, 3. Inhale through your nose. Exhale slowly through your mouth. That breath is not relaxation. It is interruption. It tells the nervous system, stand down. In those 3 seconds, ask one question: what happens if I don't react right now? That question alone dissolves urgency. Anger depends on urgency. It tells you something must be said now. It lies. Nothing important requires anger to be effective. Nothing. The strongest responses are often delayed. Think of the people you respect most. They don't rush, they don't scramble, they don't blurt, they pause. That pause makes their words land heavier. Calm is not slowness. Calm is precision. Now let's expose another myth. People say, I reacted because it mattered. No, you reacted because you weren't trained to pause. Caring does not require chaos. In fact, the more something matters, the more control it deserves. Reacting hands control to emotion. Responding keeps control with you, and control is peace. Pause first. Power follows. Another instruction: lower your volume when you feel anger rise. Anger wants to get loud. Volume amplifies emotion. When you lower your voice, you lower the temperature of the interaction. People mirror you. If you stay calm, the situation often follows. If you escalate, chaos follows. Reactions spread. Calm contains. Now understand this deeply. Reacting feels relieving in the short term. Responding feels empowering in the long term. Reactions dump emotion. Responses build reputation. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you train a new identity. You become someone who is not easily moved, not easily baited, not easily shaken. That identity compounds. People stop testing you. Situations lose their grip. Life feels quieter. Not because problems disappear, but because your reactions do. This is how peace is built, not through avoidance, through mastery. Here is another practice. After any moment of irritation, successful or not, review it. Ask, where did I feel it first in my body? How fast did I move? Did I pause? This is not self-criticism. It is training. Athletes review tape. You review reactions. Awareness sharpens control, and control creates calm. Pause first. Power follows. Now let's be clear. This is not about suppressing anger. Suppression stores pressure. Pressure explodes later. This is about redirecting. Anger is energy. Untrained energy is destructive. Trained energy becomes clarity. When you pause, anger loses its command and becomes information. It tells you something matters. It tells you a boundary exists. It tells you attention is needed, but you decide how to act on it. That is power. Without pause, anger acts through you. With pause, anger reports to you. Big difference. By now, you should feel the shift. Anger is no longer something that just happens. It is something you interrupt, and interruption is freedom. Every calm response is a small victory. Every paused reaction rewires your nervous system. Over time, anger appears less often, not because you fight it, but because it no longer works. Your system learns a new rule. Reactions are unnecessary. Pause is default. This is how peace becomes automatic. But there is still a deeper layer we must address, because even with pause, anger will keep returning if you don't remove its fuel. And the biggest fuel of anger is not events, it's ego. You've learned to stop reacting. Now it's time to see why you react so personally in the first place. Chapter 4, Detach your ego. Most anger is about pride. Anger rarely comes from danger. It comes from wounded pride. Read that again. Most anger is not about survival. It is about status. A tone you didn't like, a comment that felt dismissive. A look that felt disrespectful, being ignored, being challenged, being corrected. None of these threaten your life, yet they trigger rage. Why? Because they threaten your ego. Here is the truth you must accept if you want unshakable peace. Nothing needs defending unless your ego is fragile. Say it slowly. Nothing needs defending unless your ego is fragile. Ego is the part of you that demands validation. It wants to be right. It wants to be seen. It wants to be respected on demand. When ego feels questioned, anger shows up as its bodyguard. Anger says, I will force respect. But forced respect is not respect. It is fear, and fear always poisons peace. Let's break this down clearly. When someone cuts you off in traffic, what's the real threat? When someone disagrees with you publicly, what's the real danger? When someone doesn't reply fast enough, what's actually at risk? Nothing, except your self-image, the image of being important, the image of being competent, the image of being in control. Anger flares when that image cracks. That's why two people can hear the same insult and respond differently. One shrugs. One explodes. The difference is not temperament, it's attachment. The one who explodes is attached to being seen a certain way. The one who shrugs is not. Nothing needs defending unless your ego is fragile. Here's a real-world example. Someone criticizes your idea at work. Ego hears, you're not smart. Anger rises, but a calm person hears, this is feedback. They separate who they are from what they produced. Ego fuses the two. That fusion is dangerous. Because when your identity is attached to every opinion, every challenge feels like an attack. And you spend your life defending shadows. Another example, someone speaks to you with a sharp tone. Ego says, I will not be talked to like that. Anger rises, but the detached mind asks, is this about me or about them? Often it's about them. Stress, fear, insecurity. Bad habits, ego assumes intent. Calm observes behavior, and observation dissolves anger. Nothing needs defending unless your ego is fragile. Here's the brutal reality. The world does not owe your ego comfort. People will misunderstand you, disagree with you, ignore you, misjudge you. None of that requires anger. It requires maturity. Anger says, fix this now. Peace says, this does not define me. That sentence alone ends most anger. This does not define me. Say it internally the next time you feel disrespected. Watch what happens. The heat drops, the urgency fades, control returns. Because ego feeds anger by whispering lies. You're being disrespected. You're being challenged. You're losing status. But status that can be taken by words was never real. Real confidence does not react. It observes. Now let's be practical. Here is a behavioral instruction that will change your life if you use it. When anger rises, ask one question: what exactly am I defending right now? Not who attacked you, not what they said. What are you defending? Your intelligence, your authority, your pride, your image. Name it. The moment you name it, it shrinks, because ego thrives in vagueness. Clarity kills it. Nothing needs defending unless your ego is fragile. Another instruction: practice letting small things go on purpose, not because you are weak, because you are training detachment. Let someone interrupt you. Let someone disagree without correcting them. Let someone be wrong about you. Notice what happens. Nothing. The world keeps spinning. Your value remains intact. Each time you do this, ego loosens its grip. And as ego weakens, anger loses its fuel. This is not passivity. This is strength without noise. Now understand this. Detaching from ego does not mean you accept disrespect. It means you don't confuse disrespect with discomfort. True disrespect is about actions that violate boundaries. Ego-based anger is about feelings that bruise pride. Know the difference. Boundaries can be enforced calmly. Pride demands drama. One builds respect. The other destroys it. Nothing needs defending unless your ego is fragile. Let's talk about being right. Ego wants to win arguments. Calm wants results. Winning an argument often costs you influence. Letting one go often increases it. People remember how you made them feel, not how correct you were. And calm feels safe. Anger feels dangerous. So here is another instruction. Stop correcting people when it doesn't matter. Silence is not agreement. It is selectivity. You don't need to prove yourself to be yourself. That urge to correct, to snap back, to set the record straight immediately, that's ego panicking. Let it panic, you don't have to obey it. Nothing needs defending unless your ego is fragile. Now let's connect this to peace. Peace is not the absence of challenge. It is the absence of internal defense. When nothing feels personal, nothing feels threatening. And when nothing feels threatening, anger has nowhere to land. This is the level you are training toward, not numbness, not apathy, freedom. Freedom from being emotionally dragged by every interaction. Freedom from needing validation to feel solid. Freedom from defending an image instead of living a life. But there is one more layer. Even when ego loosens, anger can still appear if you resist reality itself. Because resistance creates friction, and friction creates heat. You've learned to pause. You've learned to detach from pride. Now it's time to master acceptance. Because peace accelerates when you stop arguing with what already is. Chapter 5: Accept reality faster. Resistance creates rage. Most anger is not about what happens. It is about refusing what happened. Read that again. Anger grows when reality arrives and you argue with it. This shouldn't be happening. They shouldn't act like this. This isn't fair. This isn't how it was supposed to go. That internal argument is where rage is born. Reality doesn't negotiate. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't wait for your approval. The faster you accept what is, the faster you regain control. Here is the law you must internalize. Acceptance is speed. Resistance is suffering. Say it. Acceptance is speed. Resistance is suffering. Resistance slows you down. It traps you in emotion. It keeps you fighting ghosts. Acceptance moves you forward. This does not mean approval. It means clarity. When you say this shouldn't happen, you add a second problem. The first problem is the event. The second problem is your resistance. That second problem is optional. Anger feeds on resistance. Let's make this practical. Traffic slows you down. Resistance says, this is ridiculous, I'm wasting time. Anger rises. Acceptance says, traffic exists, I'm here. Anger dissolves. Now you can choose what to do next. Listen, think, breathe, adjust. Acceptance gives you options. Resistance takes them away. Another example, someone disappoints you. Resistance says they should know better. Anger rises. Acceptance says this is who they are right now, not forever, right now. That shift alone drops the heat. Acceptance is not giving up, it is giving clarity. Resistance is arguing with facts. Facts always win. Acceptance is speed. Resistance is suffering. Here is the dangerous illusion. People believe resistance shows strength. It doesn't, it shows attachment. Attachment to how things should be, attachment to expectations, attachment to control. Reality doesn't care about expectations. The stronger your attachment, the stronger your anger when reality deviates. This is why flexible people are calmer, and rigid people are angry. Flexibility adapts, rigidity resists, and resistance creates rage. Now listen carefully. Acceptance is not passive. It is the fastest route to effective action. When something goes wrong, there are two timelines. Timeline 1, you complain, you replay, you get angry, you stay stuck. Timeline 2, you accept, you assess. You adjust, you move, same event, different outcome. The difference is speed. Acceptance is speed. Resistance is suffering. Here is your core mental shift. Replace this sentence, this shouldn't be happening, with this one, this is happening, now what? That question restores power instantly. This is happening, now what? Not later, not after venting. Now, anger collapses when purpose appears. Anger has no plan. Acceptance creates one. Now a behavioral instruction. The moment something goes wrong, state the facts out loud if possible. No adjectives, no judgment, just facts. The meeting was canceled. They didn't reply. I missed the deadline. It's raining. Facts calm the nervous system. Stories inflame it. Anger lives in stories. Acceptance lives in facts. Once facts are clear, ask, what's the next best move? Not the perfect move, not the fair move. The next move, that's how peace operates. Resistance says this isn't fair. Acceptance says this is real. Fairness is an idea. Reality is a condition. Deal with conditions. Here is another example. Someone insults you. Resistance says they shouldn't talk to me like that. Anger rises. Acceptance says they spoke that way. Now you have choices. Respond calmly. Set a boundary, walk away, say nothing, but you choose from clarity, not emotion. Acceptance gives you leverage. Resistance hands leverage to anger. Acceptance is speed. Resistance is suffering. Another instruction. Stop asking, why me? That question has no useful answer. It keeps you trapped in self-pity and rage. Replace it with, what now? What now? Moves you forward. Why me? Keeps you stuck. This applies everywhere. Work, relationships, health, life. Reality will never meet your expectations perfectly. Peace comes from meeting reality fully. Now let's expose a subtle trap. Some people resist under the label of principles. They say, I won't accept this. But refusing reality doesn't change it. It only delays your response. You can still hold standards after acceptance. Acceptance does not remove boundaries. It removes emotional fog. Clear minds enforce boundaries better. Angry minds escalate problems. Nothing creates rage faster than clinging to how things should be. The moment you release should, anger weakens. Should is a fantasy. Is reality. Live in reality. Here is a daily practice. At the end of each day, identify one moment you resisted. One moment you said internally, this shouldn't be happening. Rewrite it. This happened, and I adapted. That rewrite trains acceptance, and acceptance trains peace. Now connect this to everything you've learned so far. You pause instead of reacting. You detach from ego. You accept reality faster. Anger has fewer places to hide. It cannot hook ego. It cannot feed on urgency. It cannot grow through resistance. Peace becomes efficient. Calm becomes your default, but there is still work to do. Acceptance clears the mind, but stillness must be trained, because even with acceptance, the mind can chatter. It can replay. It can loop. To reach unshakable peace, you must train emotional stillness itself, not just in moments of crisis, but daily. You've learned to stop fighting reality. Now it's time to quiet the mind that reacts to it. Chapter 6: Train Emotional Stillness. Calm is a skill. Calm is not who you are. Calm is what you practice. This is where most people fail. They believe inner peace is a personality trait, something you're born with. Something reserved for monks, quiet types, or naturally chill people. That belief keeps them angry. Here is the truth. Stillness is trained, not wished for. Say it. Stillness is trained, not wished for. You don't stumble into peace. You condition it, just like strength, just like focus, just like discipline. No one wakes up calm by accident. They build it. Inner peace is not the absence of stress. It is the presence of control, and control is learned. Right now, your mind is noisy because it has been allowed to be noisy. Your emotions spike because they have never been trained to settle. This is not a flaw, it's a lack of practice, and practice changes everything. Stillness is trained, not wished for. Let's break this down. Your mind is a muscle. Your nervous system is a system. Both respond to repetition. If you constantly rush, react, multitask, and overstimulate, you train agitation. If you slow down, observe, and breathe intentionally, you train calm. Most people live in constant mental motion. They call it productivity. It's not. It's agitation disguised as effort. Calm people are not lazy. They are regulated. Regulation is the skill you are training now. Here is the first practice. Observation without interference. Most people try to stop thoughts. That's impossible. You don't stop thoughts. You stop obeying them. The moment you notice a thought without reacting, you create space. Thoughts are like weather. They pass if you don't chase them. Anger grows when you argue with your thoughts. Calm grows when you observe them. So here is the instruction. Once per day, sit quietly for 5 minutes. No phone, no music, no distractions. Watch your thoughts, don't correct them, don't judge them. Don't engage them, just notice. This trains detachment. Detachment creates stillness. Stillness is trained, not wished for. Second practice, slow your speech. Speed creates aggression. Slowness creates authority. Anger speeds up your words. Calm slows them down. You don't need to talk faster to be heard. You need to talk slower to be felt. Make this a rule. When stressed, slow your speech by 20%. Pause between sentences. Breathe before responding. This does 2 things. It calms your nervous system. It signals confidence to others. People trust calm voices. Anger rushes because it fears being ignored. Calm waits because it knows it will be heard. Train this daily. Stillness is trained, not wished for. Third practice. Relax the body under stress. This is critical. You cannot think your way into calm if your body is tense. The body leads the mind, so when stress appears, scan your body. Jaw, shoulders, hands, stomach. Release tension deliberately. Drop your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Exhale slowly. Do this even if you don't feel angry yet. Prevention beats control. A relaxed body does not escalate easily. This is how calm becomes physical, not theoretical. Stillness is trained, not wished for. Now let's address a common mistake. People wait for calm moments to practice calm. That's backwards. You practice calm during mild stress so it's available during intense stress. Train in low-stakes situations, waiting in line. Slow traffic, minor disagreements, small delays, these are your training grounds. Every time you choose stillness in a small moment, you build capacity for bigger ones. Anger doesn't disappear all at once. It loses territory gradually, one calm moment at a time. Stillness is trained, not wished for. Another instruction. Reduce stimulation. Constant input fuels agitation. News, social media, arguments, noise. Your nervous system needs quiet to recalibrate. This doesn't mean disconnect from life. It means control exposure. Choose silence intentionally. Even 10 minutes of quiet per day resets your baseline. Silence trains stillness. Stillness trains peace. Now understand this. Calm is not passive. Calm is alert without tension. It sees clearly. It reacts slowly. It acts decisively. Anger narrows vision. Calm widens it. This is why calm people make better decisions. They have access to more information. Training stillness is training intelligence. Now here's a powerful reframe. You don't calm down after you solve problems. You calm down to solve them. Peace is not the reward. It is the prerequisite. This is why reactive people stay stuck. They try to think clearly while emotionally flooded. That never works. Stillness clears the signal. Stillness is trained, not wished for. Another daily practice. End your day slowly. Most people go from stimulation straight to sleep. That keeps the nervous system on high alert. Instead, build a wind-down ritual. Dim lights, slow movements, quiet environment. Tell your body the day is over. This trains recovery. Recovery builds resilience. Resilience prevents anger. Everything is connected. Now let's be honest. This training will feel boring at first. Anger is exciting. Stillness is quiet. Your nervous system may crave intensity. Don't follow cravings. Train discipline. Discipline creates freedom. The calmer you become, the less drama you need to feel alive, and that is real maturity. Stillness is trained, not wished for. Over time, something changes. You notice anger sooner. You recover faster. You react less. Peace stops feeling fragile. It feels grounded. And grounded people are hard to disturb. This chapter gave you the tools to build stillness internally, but there is still a voice that can sabotage everything if left unchecked. The voice that narrates, judges, assumes, exaggerates. That inner narrator fuels anger more than events ever could. You've trained the body. You've slowed the mind. Now it's time to silence the story maker. Chapter 7. Silence the inner narrator. Stories create anger. Nothing makes you angrier than a story you believe. Not facts, not events, stories. The voice in your head is the real instigator. It narrates, it interprets, it assumes, it exaggerates, it assigns intent without evidence. And then it hands that story to your nervous system and says, react. Anger is rarely caused by what happened. It is caused by what you tell yourself about what happened. That voice is not truth. It is habit, and habits can be retrained. Here is the core rule of this chapter. Change the story, change the feeling. Say it again. Change the story, change the feeling. Let's expose how this works. Someone doesn't reply to your message. Fact, no reply yet. Story, they're ignoring me. Anger appears. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Fact, a car changed lanes. Story, they're disrespectful. Anger appears. Someone criticizes your idea. Fact, feedback was given. Story, they think I'm incompetent. Anger appears. Notice the pattern. The emotion does not follow the fact. It follows the interpretation. Facts are neutral. Stories are emotional, and most stories are wrong. The inner narrator's job is not accuracy. It is certainty. It wants an explanation quickly, even if it's false. Uncertainty makes the ego uncomfortable, so the narrator fills the gap with assumptions, with worst-case scenarios, with personal attacks. That is how anger is manufactured. Change the story, change the feeling. Here's the hard truth. You don't get angry because of what people do. You get angry because of what you think it means, and meaning is optional. Now let's slow this down. Between an event and an emotion, there is a story. Event right arrow, story right arrow, emotion. Most people skip the middle step. They assume the emotion is automatic. It is. The story is the switch. If you don't touch the story, anger keeps returning. So here is your first behavioral instruction. When anger rises, ask one question immediately. What story am I telling right now? not who is wrong, not what they did, what story, name it, they don't respect me. They're trying to control me. They don't care. They think they're better than me. Once you hear it clearly, it loses power, because now it's exposed as a narrative, not reality. Change the story, change the feeling. Second instruction: challenge the story with facts. Ask, what do I actually know for sure? Not what you assume, not what you feel, what you know. Most anger collapses right here, because facts are usually thin and stories are usually thick. He hasn't replied. That's the fact. Everything else is fiction. Your anger is reacting to fiction. Now another question. What are 3 other explanations? Not 1, 3. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they forgot. Maybe it's not a priority. Maybe it has nothing to do with you. The mind hates alternatives because they weaken certainty. But certainty is what fuels anger. Multiple possibilities restore calm. Change the story, change the feeling. Another instruction: stop assigning intent without evidence. Intent is invisible. You cannot see it. You cannot prove it. Yet the inner narrator assigns malicious intent constantly. They meant to disrespect me. They did that on purpose. They're trying to make me look bad. Those are accusations, not observations. Accusations provoke anger. Observations create clarity. Train yourself to say, I don't know their intent. That sentence alone dissolves most emotional heat, because anger needs certainty to survive. Now let's be honest. Some people do have bad intent, but reacting in anger still doesn't help you. Anger clouds judgment. Calm reveals strategy. Even when someone is wrong, the calm mind responds better. So questioning the story is always useful. Here is a powerful reframe. Your inner narrator is not your enemy. It is untrained. It's been running unchecked for years. It learned from stress, drama, and repetition. You are not silencing it through force. You are retraining it through awareness. Each time you question a story, you weaken the habit. Each time you accept a story blindly, you strengthen it. Training happens either way. Choose wisely. Change the story, change the feeling. Now let's apply this to real situations. Arguments. Most arguments escalate because both sides believe their story completely. My version is correct. Your version is wrong. That rigidity creates heat. A calm person does something different. They separate facts from interpretations. They say internally, this is my perspective, not reality itself. That humility disarms anger. You can hold a perspective without being possessed by it. That is emotional maturity. Another situation: criticism. Anger flares when criticism is interpreted as identity attack. Story: they're saying I'm not good enough. That's rarely what's happening. Feedback is about behavior or output. Ego turns it into identity. Change the story. This is information, not a verdict. Feeling changes instantly. Change the story, change the feeling. Here is a daily practice. At the end of the day, review 1 moment of irritation. Write down 1. The event, facts only. 2. The story you told. 3. The emotion you felt. 4. A calmer alternative story. This trains awareness. Awareness weakens automatic anger. Automatic anger thrives in unconscious storytelling. Now let's connect this to peace. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the absence of false narratives. When your mind stops exaggerating, attacking, and assuming, reality feels lighter. Not because life got easier, because your stories got cleaner. Clean stories create calm emotions. Dirty stories create anger. This is why stillness requires mental discipline. Not silence of thought, but accuracy of thought. And accuracy comes from questioning. Change the story, change the feeling. Over time, something shifts. Your mind pauses before believing itself. You don't trust the first narrative. You wait. That pause is power. Anger loses its script. You stop rehearsing conflict internally. And without rehearsal, anger has nothing to perform. This chapter taught you how to disarm anger at its source, the story, but there is another transformation ahead, because once the stories quiet down, something else emerges: presence, weight, authority. Calm is no longer just internal, it becomes visible. Invisible calm changes how others respond to you. You've learned to silence the narrator. Now it's time to replace anger with something far more effective. Chapter 8: Replace anger with authority. Anger tries to dominate. Authority doesn't need to. That is the difference you must understand. Anger raises its voice. Authority raises its presence. Anger pushes. Authority holds ground. Anger demands attention. Authority receives it. Here is the rule of this chapter. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Say it. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Most people use anger because they don't know how to access authority. They think volume equals power. They think intensity equals influence. They think force equals respect. They're wrong. Force creates resistance. Authority creates alignment. Let's define authority clearly. Authority is calm confidence expressed through restraint. It is not aggression. It is not intimidation. It is not control. It is certainty without urgency. Anger rushes because it fears losing control. Authority is patient because it already has it. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Look at real-world examples. In a heated meeting, who commands the room? Not the person interrupting, not the one talking the most, not the one raising their voice. It's the person who speaks last, the one who listens fully, the one who pauses before responding. When they speak, people lean in. Why? Because silence creates gravity. Noise repels attention. Stillness pulls it in. Now relationships. Anger says, "Listen to me now." Authority says nothing and waits, and that waiting creates tension, not awkward tension, respectful tension. The kind that makes the other person adjust. People mirror energy. When you stay calm, they feel exposed in their chaos. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Now leadership. True leaders don't bark orders. They set tone. They don't react emotionally. They regulate emotionally. Their calm becomes the standard. When a leader loses composure, everyone feels unsafe. When a leader stays grounded, everyone stabilizes. Calm is contagious. Anger is contagious too, but destructive. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Now let's be practical. Here are the behaviors that replace anger with authority. First, silence. Silence is uncomfortable for insecure people. That's why they fill it with noise. Authority uses silence intentionally. After someone speaks, pause, don't rush to respond, don't defend, don't explain. Pause. That pause signals confidence. It says, "I'm not threatened. I'm considering. I don't need to react." Silence is not emptiness. It is control. Second, eye contact. Anger darts. Authority holds. When you maintain calm, steady eye contact, you project certainty. Not staring, not intimidating, relaxed, grounded. Eye contact anchors presence. It says, "I'm here, I'm solid." People feel that. Third, slow speech. Speed reveals anxiety. Slowness reveals confidence. Anger speeds up because it fears interruption. Authority slows down because it expects to be heard. Lower your voice, slow your pace, shorten your sentences, say less but say it clearly. People trust speakers who don't rush. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Now understand this. Authority does not need to win arguments. It doesn't prove, it doesn't justify, it doesn't chase agreement. It states reality calmly and lets it land. Anger argues. Authority declares. Declarations are short. This isn't acceptable. This needs to change. That won't work. No explanation, no emotional charge. Just clarity. Anger over-explains. Authority concludes. Here is a key instruction. When you feel the urge to raise your voice, do the opposite. Lower it. That one adjustment flips the power dynamic. People expect escalation. They don't expect composure. Composure unsettles chaos. Now let's address a fear. Some people think calm authority means being ignored. They think, if I don't push, I'll be walked over. That fear comes from confusing calm with passivity. Calm authority is not passive. It is firm without friction. It sets boundaries without drama. Anger sets boundaries loudly. Authority sets them clearly. Clear boundaries are respected more than emotional ones. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Here is a real-world example. Someone disrespects you verbally. Anger reacts, "Don't talk to me like that." Authority responds, "That's not acceptable." Same message, different energy. One escalates, one ends the behavior. Which one commands respect? Authority doesn't need to threaten. It states consequences calmly. This conversation is over if it continues. And then it follows through. No emotion, no lecture. Follow through creates authority, not volume. Now another instruction. Stop explaining yourself to people who are not listening. Explanation is often a form of seeking validation. Authority does not seek validation. It trusts its stance. If someone keeps pushing, repeat your position calmly. No new words, no new emotion. Repetition with calm is powerful. It shows you are not negotiable. Anger adds words. Authority removes them. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Now connect this to everything you've learned. You pause instead of react. You detach from ego. You accept reality. You quiet the narrator. What remains is presence. Presence is authority. People feel it before they understand it. This is why calm individuals often get what they want without fighting. They don't leak insecurity. They don't chase control. They embody it. Now here's a daily practice. Choose one interaction per day to practice authority. Speak slower. Say less. Hold silence. Notice how people respond. They adjust. Not because you intimidated them, because you stabilized the interaction. Stability feels safe. People respect safety. Anger creates danger. Danger creates distance. Authority is quiet. Insecurity is loud. Over time, anger becomes unnecessary. Why explode when stillness works better? Why raise your voice when presence carries more weight? This is the upgrade. You are not suppressing anger. You are outgrowing it, but there is still a final transformation ahead. Authority is not just something you use. It becomes something you are, an identity. And identity determines behavior automatically. You've learned skills. Now you must become the calm one. Chapter 9. Build a peaceful identity. Become the calm one. Everything you do flows from who you believe you are. Read that again. Your behavior is not random. Your reactions are not accidents. They are expressions of identity. People don't lose control. They act in alignment with self-image. If you see yourself as reactive, you react. If you see yourself as hot-headed, you explode. If you see yourself as calm under pressure, you stabilize. This chapter is where anger truly ends, not through techniques, not through restraint, but through identity. Here is the core truth. You don't manage anger forever. You outgrow it by becoming someone who doesn't need it. Say this clearly, even if it feels unfamiliar. I don't get angry, I stay clear. Again, I don't get angry, I stay clear. This is not denial. This is direction. Identity is a compass. Your nervous system follows it. Most people try to control anger while still identifying as someone who gets angry. That's a losing strategy. It's like trying to quit smoking while calling yourself a smoker. The mind always returns to identity. So we change the identity. You are no longer working on anger. You are the calm one, the grounded one, the steady one, the person who doesn't react under pressure. That is who you are now. I don't get angry, I stay clear. Let's break this down. When pressure hits, your brain asks one question: what does someone like me do in this situation? If your answer is, I get mad, that's what happens. If your answer is, I stay clear, your body adjusts. Heart rate slows, breath deepens, perspective widens. Identity tells the body how to respond. This is not motivational talk. This is conditioning. You reinforce identity through repetition and proof, so we will do both. First, language. Stop saying, I have anger issues. Stop saying, I'm trying not to get angry. Stop saying, that's just how I am. Every sentence trains the nervous system. Replace the language. I stay calm under pressure. I handle things clearly. I don't get angry, I stay clear. Say it daily, especially before stressful situations, not as a wish, as a statement. Second, micro-proof. Identity strengthens through evidence, so you must collect proof. Start small. When something minor irritates you and you stay calm, note it. Say internally, that's who I am now. When you pause instead of snapping, register it. Identity grows through recognition. Don't dismiss calm moments. They are building blocks. Anger survives when calm is ignored. Third, expectation. Expect yourself to be calm, not perfectly, consistently. High standards create stable behavior. Low expectations excuse chaos. If you expect to lose control, you will. If you expect composure, you rise to it. This is leadership of self. I don't get angry, I stay clear. Now let's address a common mistake. People think identity is fake confidence. It's not. It's a decision reinforced by behavior. You don't wait to feel calm to claim the identity. You claim the identity and let the feeling catch up. Action leads emotion, not the other way around. Now real-world application. At work, pressure rises. Old identity, they're disrespecting me. New identity, I stay clear. That clarity allows choice. You respond instead of react. You speak deliberately. You protect your position. In relationships, old identity. I need to be heard. New identity. I don't get angry. I stay clear. You listen longer. You speak less. You gain influence without friction. In conflict, old identity. I must defend myself. New identity. I don't need to prove anything. The need for anger disappears. Because anger is a defense mechanism, and calm identity doesn't feel threatened. Now here is a powerful reframe. Anger is not strength. Anger is compensation. It compensates for insecurity, for lack of clarity, for fragile identity. When identity is solid, anger has nothing to do. It fades, not suppressed. Not fought, replaced. I don't get angry, I stay clear. Repeat it. Now a daily identity drill. Every morning say this slowly. Today, pressure will test me, and I will remain clear. Visualize one situation where you usually get irritated. See yourself calm, steady, unmoved. This preloads the nervous system. You are rehearsing identity. Elite performers do this instinctively. They don't wait to see how they'll react. They decide in advance. That is authority over self. Now let's address setbacks. You will still feel anger sometimes. That does not mean you failed. It means old wiring surfaced. The difference now is what you do next. You don't judge, you don't spiral, you reset identity. That reaction doesn't define me. I don't get angry, I stay clear. Then you act accordingly. Identity is not destroyed by mistakes. It is strengthened by correction. Now understand this. When you become the calm one, people adjust around you. They lower their voice. They slow down. They respect your boundaries. Not because you demand it, because your identity sets the emotional temperature. Calm people change rooms. Angry people are changed by them. This is the long-term payoff. Peace is no longer something you chase. It is something you express. And expression is effortless. You don't try to be calm. You are calm, that's who you are. I don't get angry, I stay clear. This identity protects your energy, your reputation, your influence. It makes life lighter, but there is one final piece. Even with a calm identity, the world will still provoke, so you must learn how to protect your peace intentionally. not just internally, but externally. You've built the identity. Now you must defend the environment that supports it. That's next. Chapter 10, Live Untouchable, Peace is the Final Advantage. This is what everything was building toward, not calm moments, not controlled reactions. Freedom. When anger disappears, something replaces it. Clarity, confidence, influence, and most importantly, self-respect. Anger drains you, peace upgrades you. This is the final truth. Peace is not weakness. Peace is the ultimate advantage. Say this slowly. Nothing outside me controls me. Again, nothing outside me controls me. That belief changes everything. Anger is always external control. Someone says something and your mood collapses. Something goes wrong and your day is ruined. Someone disrespects you and you explode. That is not power. That is being programmable. Peace breaks the chain. Peace means events happen, but they don't own you. You respond from choice, not compulsion. That is untouchable. Nothing outside me controls me. Now let's talk results, because peace is not philosophical. It's practical. First, clarity. Anger narrows perception. Peace widens it. When you're angry, you see threats. When you're calm, you see options. Calm minds make better decisions. Every time, they don't rush, they don't panic. They don't sabotage long-term gain for short-term relief. Peace gives you strategic vision. You think further ahead. You choose better words. You avoid unnecessary damage. That alone changes outcomes. Second, confidence. Anger pretends to be confidence. It's not. It's insecurity trying to feel strong. Real confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to convince. It doesn't need to dominate. It doesn't need to react. Peaceful people trust themselves. They don't feel threatened by opinions. They don't feel diminished by disagreement. They don't need to win every moment. That self-trust is visible, and people respond to it. Third, influence. Anger pushes people away. Peace pulls them in. People feel safe around calm individuals. Safety builds trust. Trust builds influence. This is why peaceful leaders rise. They're predictable. They're stable. They're respected. People follow those who regulate themselves, not those who explode. Now let's talk health. Anger lives in the body. Tight jaw, shallow breath, chronic tension. Over time, it turns into fatigue, inflammation, and burnout. Peace reverses that. Breathing deepens. Muscles relax. Sleep improves. Your nervous system heals. You stop living in fight or flight. That alone adds years to your life. Peace is not just mental. It's physical survival. Now relationships. Anger poisons connection. It creates fear. It creates distance. It creates resentment. Peace repairs relationships even without words. When you stop reacting, others soften. When you stop escalating, conflicts dissolve. You become someone people feel safe opening up to, not because you're passive, because you're stable. Peaceful people experience deeper intimacy because they don't weaponize emotion. Now leadership. Leadership is emotional containment. The leader absorbs pressure so others don't panic. Angry leaders leak stress. Peaceful leaders stabilize systems. They create environments where people think clearly. That is real authority. This is why peace compounds. It improves thinking, improves health, improves relationships, improves leadership. Anger does the opposite. Now let's be clear. Peace does not mean tolerating disrespect. It means addressing it without losing yourself. Peaceful people still set boundaries. They just do it without rage. They say no calmly. They walk away cleanly. They don't explain endlessly. They conserve energy. Energy is currency. Anger wastes it. Peace invests it. Nothing outside me controls me. This belief makes you unshakable. Traffic doesn't own your mood. Comments don't own your worth. Other people's chaos doesn't become your burden. You let the world be noisy. You stay clear. This is emotional sovereignty, and sovereignty feels light. Now here is the final instruction. Stop feeding anger with attention. Anger survives on rehearsal. replaying conversations, imagining arguments, justifying reactions. Peace grows when you stop narrating. When something triggers you, do less, breathe, pause, move on. Starve the emotion, feed clarity. Over time, anger weakens, peace becomes default. This is the final transformation. You are no longer someone who tries to stay calm. You are someone who is calm. Pressure tests you and you remain grounded. That is untouchable. And untouchable people win, not loudly. Not dramatically, long-term. They keep their health, their reputation, their relationships, their dignity. They don't burn bridges, they build leverage. This is the highest form of power, self-mastery, and it begins and ends with this belief: nothing outside me controls me. Say it one last time. Nothing outside me controls me. This is not the end of effort, it's the end of struggle. You don't fight anger anymore. You live above it. You are clear, you are calm, you are untouchable, and that is unshakable inner peace. Anger promised you strength and delivered weakness. It promised honesty and delivered regret. Today that ends. You now understand that peace is not softness, it is control. Calm is not avoidance, it is mastery. From this moment forward, you pause before you react. You observe before you judge. You remain still while others lose themselves. This is your challenge. For the next 7 days, choose calm every time anger appears. Watch how people treat you differently. Watch how your mind clears. Watch how powerful peace becomes when it is trained. Return to this audiobook until calm is your default and anger no longer knows your name.